Here for the fans, packing it in for game 3. Although home court advantages meant nothing with these two teams. Our Bud Light starting lineups, front court with Prince and the two Wallaces, Stephen Jackson, Jermaine O'Neal, and Dale Davis, who has been so important down the stretch for Indiana. And, of course, the backcourt with Phillips and Hamilton, as good as it gets in the NBA, with Tinsley and Reggie Miller, with more games to play as we send it over to Jim Gray.
All right, Mike, thank you very much. I spoke to Larry Brown. He said, I've been coaching professional basketball for more than 30 years. The other night, I didn't coach execution. It's the first time I've had to coach effort. I cannot coach effort. These guys have to bring it. It's very, very difficult. He said, I can't understand why there wasn't an effort. I talked to Chauncey Billups about it. He said, we looked at the tapes, and quite frankly, the coach is right. Our effort was terrible. Here's a guarantee. We'll have the effort tonight, and you won't see that again out of this Piston team. Mike?
Well, Jim, Larry Brown did say he didn't have to say very much after the team watched the film because they saw, but he also said, you know what, I don't want to get too carried away with that because let's give credit. The Pacers played a superb game after that first quarter.
They were outstanding, Indiana, and they need to feed this crowd, which is fired up. The faces are painted. The UCLA legend, Reggie Miller, ready to deliver. Dale Davis has been a key late-season acquisition, really added to the team chemistry and toughness.
Meanwhile, Bill, which Indiana team is going to show up? They have had what a roller coaster ride in a series against Boston. They lost by 31 at home, then won by 27 on the road. You just can't figure this team out.
Predictions mean nothing with this Indiana squad. The key to the game, the key to the series is rebounds, which leads to extra possessions, and then turnovers. Who can force them, who can limit their own.
And as we said, home court has meant nothing. The 4 regular season games and the 2 playoff games in the series, the road team is 5-1. Miller, his first shot of the night.
If I'm Chauncey Billups, my only goal in this game is to deny penetration to Jamal Tinsley. Make him beat you with his own offense from the perimeter.
That was such a key to the game, too, as Ben Wallace had that big offensive game 1, quiet in game 2 in terms of scoring, and he gets the first 2 points of the game.
It's the beauty of this World Championship Detroit squad. They can beat you any way they want to.
Meanwhile, Indiana, one of the real impressive parts of that victory, as we have an offensive foul call against Dale Davis, a moving screen. One of the impressive parts of the victory, Bill, was the fact that they were down 15. They were badly beaten in that first quarter. And again, another sign of their resiliency.
Reggie Miller came alive in the second half. Majority of his points, the majority of his impact. Jermaine O'Neal was solid throughout, and then Jeff Foster just absolutely took over the game.
Rasheed Wallace. Good ball movement from the Pistons. Prince had a good game in game 2. Can't hit that time. And Reggie Miller trying to get it. Ben Wallace knocks it away. Nice touch by Tinsley. And it's Piston ball.
And there's those extra possessions that Rick Carlisle's been talking about. Every time these two teams play, Ben Wallace, his ability to tip the ball to himself. Rick Carlisle, former coach of the year. 1 game over 500 as a playoff coach.
Meanwhile, Ben Wallace leading all players in the postseason in rebounding. Phillips off the mark. Dale Davis the rebound. You know, when you watch a game on television, you normally just follow the ball. You get a chance tonight watching a game, just keep your eyes peeled on Hamilton and Miller and watching them run around screens. It's tough to take your eye off the ball as O'Neal misses that. But it's worth it just watching these guys how they move without it.
They are the epitome of the team game. Fans wanted to travel right there. Indiana's defense looks fairly solid in the early going here.
Hamilton goes right at O'Neal. Rasheed Wallace has it broken up. Ball knocked away. And it's going to go down the other way for the Pacers. The Pacer defense so vital in that comeback in game 2. Stephen Jackson looking to post up on Richard Hamilton. Can't get it to fall. Wallace the rebound. So both teams struggling putting the ball in the basket the first couple of minutes.
Can anybody get out in transition and generate some easy scoring opportunities? Movement without the ball by Rip Hamilton.
Wallace keeps it alive again.
Rip Hamilton playing with a pad, a heating thing on his right calf. He strained in Game 2 up in Detroit.
Happened in the second quarter. Steven Jackson with the steal. Rick Carlisle telling us earlier today how Steven Jackson's defense goes unnoticed. Meanwhile, Tayshaun Prince's defense not unnoticed, just named All-NBA second team yesterday, and he is certainly deserving of that, Bill.
The length, the anticipation, and the strategy that he has. Tough pass by Rasheed that time. Quickness by Rip Hamilton, anticipation.
Shot clock down to 7.
Now don't double team right now if you're Indiana.
Hamilton gets inside. Wild shot. Won't fall, and Davis the rebound.
Try to get something going with the push of the ball. If you're Indiana, you're not going to beat the Detroit Pistons as Reggie Miller standing out of bounds right in front of Rick Carlisle.
So we've played 3 minutes and 9 seconds, and we have 2 points.
Indiana is not going to beat the world champions in a half-court game. The Pistons are too talented, too disciplined, too tough. They're bigger, they're stronger, they're younger, they're healthier, and they're a better team right now. You've got to beat them in transition.
And a foul on Steven Jackson. That'll be his first. He'll take it out of bounds. Tayshaun Prince, his wide array of offensive moves. He can shoot the three. He can take you off the dribble. He can post you up.
I think his most important asset is his creativity and the ability to make things happen for other guys. There's a lot of players in this league that can fill it up themselves.
Hamilton loses that as well.
Hamilton's off to a horrendous start.
Tinsley inside. Oh, nice adjustment from Tinsley. And the Pacers get on the board. So we have 6 total turnovers and 4 total points.
Time for Rasheed Wallace down low. Get him an opportunity. See if he's willing to go to work as a post player.
Wallace likes to shoot the three. He has not shot well in this series. Billups off balance, able to put it in.
Because Indiana is not a great defensive team, they have to scramble, double team, and that just generates all kinds of wide open opportunities and horrendous mismatches for the Pacers.
And a reach-in foul is going to be called on Richard Hamilton. They are, though, a very good defensive team. They're one of the better defensive teams. Granted, without Ron Artest, they're not as good. They're a good defensive team.
They're a good team defensive team because of their commitment to the principles that Rick Carlisle brings. They don't have a lot of great individual stoppers.
Mike Brown, the assistant coach, a big part of their defense is Tinsley. Nobody came near him, and Tinsley, his first three-pointer.
0 for 12 coming into this game. In all the series, in the 9 games combined, that would include the 7 against Boston.
Well, he's only played, this is only his 6th one because he missed the first 4 against the Celtics. Of course, was out 3 months with that bruised foot. And a carry call on Richard Hamilton. You don't see that very often, but both teams sloppy with the basketball in the opening minutes.
And for all the talk that we heard from the world champion Pistons about, hey, we're going to be ready tonight, no more this lackadaisical approach, we've yet to see that.
Hamilton had 7 turnovers in game 2. He's got 3 turnovers already here. Miller trying to find some room.
Great rotation, Chauncey Billups.
Davis methodically, but can't finish, and Prince the rebound.
I talked to Rip Hamilton about that leg injury, and he said this is not really a problem. He's never had an injury like this before, and Mike Abdenauer working diligently on it.
Billups can't hit. Ben Wallace another rebound. He also credited their strength coach Arnie Kander as he misses another one, said he's the best in the world. Tinsley. And a foul. Jamal Tinsley with a chance for a 3-point play.
It appears as if Jamal Tinsley has taken personal offense to the comments of the Detroit Pistons, thinking that the Pistons just gave that game away because Jamal Tinsley has come out determined to show that, hey, that was no anomaly in game 2.
Tinsley with all 8 of the Pacer points. Tinsley only played in 40 games in the regular season, missed the last 29 with that bruised left foot, the first 4 games of the playoffs, so he's not in great condition, but he also has fresh legs from not playing.
But there wasn't a lot of talk of him even coming back in that Boston series.
Hamilton adjusts but can't hit, and Jermaine O'Neal the rebound. Ball knocked out of bounds, and good defense from Hamilton. Tinsley says, wait a minute, it should have been our ball. The officials are going to talk about it. Larry Brown wants to talk about it because he's asked for a timeout.
Detroit does not look good, and Rip Hamilton is struggling. That is not a good sign for the world champions, the Indiana Pacers. They fed their crowd early.
Hamilton 0 for 4 with 3 turnovers. Tinsley all 8 Pacer points. Led by Jamal Tinsley, leading 8-4. Pacers trying to make it 2 straight wins. Larry Brown called the timeout. Brown, always the sportsman, gave credit where credit was due when discussing what happened in Game 2 in Detroit.
I don't want to come in and say, oh, we were terrible, because you take away from what the other team did, and I don't think we have the right to do that. They just, all the things that we did in Game 1, that people were talking about, our effort, our unselfishness, our great defense, Indiana did to us in Game 2.
And that was after the first quarter. They were down by 15 after 1, but the rest of the game, their defense was just superb.
Isn't that the same story, though, that the Pacers have had to face all this year? After winning the championship and trouncing the Lakers last year, everybody said, well, it wasn't Detroit's victory. It was the Lakers that beat themselves. It was a self-immolation of Los Angeles and Kobe and Shaq and Phil Jackson just doing everything wrong. And now all of a sudden the Pistons find themselves in the same situation, and they're coming up with the same story.
Remember, the Pistons didn't have it easy before the Lakers. They didn't sweep any rounds as Wallace misfires on that one. And remember, in the conference semifinals last year against New Jersey, they were down 3-2 before winning Games 6 and 7 to advance to the conference finals against the Pacers.
And that Game 6, one of the most remarkable overtime games in the history of basketball. Tinsley continues to just torch everybody.
So Tinsley will go to the line. One of the keys for Tinsley and what a difference he makes is he rarely picks up his dribble. He keeps his dribble alive all the time, and it's tough to defend.
One of the reasons why there was not a lot of talk about Tinsley was that when he went out, they actually started playing better ball. Anthony Johnson, the backup point guard, came in, and for 20-25 games, he was just absolutely spectacular. And then Tinsley became a forgotten man here in Indiana, and all of a sudden he shows up to start Game 5, and whoa, he's been playing terrific basketball.
He was on the verge prior to the injury of having certainly his best season. He picked up his scoring. Rick Carlisle said he was like playing like Gus Williams, that type of player. They needed his offense. Now he's more of a pure point guard again. Phillips gets in the paint, but lost the handle. Blocked by Jermaine O'Neal. He had 5 in Game 2 and a 24-second violation.
Detroit is playing a very passive and reactive game. It's the Pacers who are attacking, led by Jamal Tinsley, led by a fierce defense anchored by Dale Davis and Jermaine O'Neal.
Look at this score. 8-4, bottom of the third here in Indianapolis.
If you make 2 buckets in a row, you become scorching hot and have built an insurmountable lead.
Jermaine O'Neal, that's the first point from someone besides Tinsley, an 8-0 run. Well, a much different start for the Pacers than they had in Game 2.
A much more confident team.
Remember, they lost 2 of 3 home games in the Boston series here at Getsiko. Hamilton with Dale Davis in his face. And they're now 2 for 12 from the field.
Nice creativity that time by Tinsley.
And good defense from Phillips to poke it away. Hamilton can't get it to fall. O'Neal, tough rebound in traffic. Hamilton now 0 for 6 from the field. He's had some good looks, just not able to get him to go down.
Those are the shots that Rip Hamilton, as the world champion, normally knocks down with great regularity. I'm concerned about the Pistons right now.
Jackson blocked from behind by Phillips. 2 strong defensive plays from Phillips.
Oh, great kickball. Reggie Miller. I mean, you shut down a 2-on-1 like that. Reggie's 39 years old.
And here this ovation for Jeff Foster after a spectacular game in Game 2 with those 20 rebounds. But it's not a shock. This guy has always been a good rebounder in the NBA, amongst the leaders in rebounds for 48 minutes. Hamilton, there's one to go, and a foul as Tinsley picks up his first.
Pistons have to get back to playing their brand of basketball. They're trying to play off the dribble too much. They think they have too much of an edge physically and talent-wise against this Indiana Pacers squad. Larry Brown cannot be happy, and Tinsley gets a tremendous roar from the crowd as Anthony Johnson checks in.
Hamilton's bucket, the first points for the Pistons in over 4 minutes.
But the Pistons, as world champions, have shown they can win on the road. In all 4 series last year, they won on the road in every series. They've already won on the road in the first series this year against Philadelphia.
They're a team that does not panic. Such poise as Jackson wide open for 3. And Foster, an extra possession. He had 10 offensive rebounds in game 2. He had 6 offensive rebounds in game 1. And Jackson.
The switch happens. Tayshaun Prince ends up having to go outside, and I don't see any sense of urgency on the faces of the Detroit Pistons. They seem so casually confident that they can just turn it on at any time. That's a tough way to approach game 3 on the road, already having lost the home court advantage.
Yeah, I don't see them as casual. I just see right now the Pacers playing with such intensity. Right now just playing well. Pistons have come to play, but the Pacers right now just playing very confident basketball.
And give a lot of credit to Rick Carlisle. Sense of always looking forward. But Detroit cannot find the range at all. The offensive struggles that came alive in the end of game 2 surfacing once again. Chauncey Billups, they're all throwing up bricks. What to do about an ice-cold game?
Foster and the Pacers leading by 5. Foster a big reason why the series is tied at 1 game apiece with his terrific work on the boards. Ben Wallace-like work as he did at the Palace of Auburn Hills.
Making it all happen. Blocking shots, moving without the ball, the little flip shots, beating them with quickness, over the top with the nice touch, the ball movement, to be able to finish and create plays, and then the explosiveness. This is not totally unprecedented. Game 5 last year, second round against Miami, he was very, very good as well. But the game 2 numbers in this series, 20 rebounds, a career high, 10 of them on the offensive end, most of those off Jamal Tinsley's misses.
And this is a guy that he's always been a good rebounder. In his 6th year in the NBA out of Southwest Texas State. When he was in college, he was 3rd in the nation in rebounding. He averaged 9 rebounds a game in 26 minutes this season. His rebounding is what's got him in the league. And it's not a real shock as O'Neal with the steal.
And Jeff Foster is not a player who's playing completely healthy himself. He's had back problems, groin problems, hip problems, you name it. Everything in the middle there has just caused him all kinds of nightmare issues this season.
9 on the shot clock, still Pacer ball. The Pistons 3 of 15 from the field. There's Tinsley. This back on the right shoulder.
Hydroculators, oh yes. Amazing how they still use hydroculators with all the technological advances over history. They're still going with the hydroculator.
What is a hydroculator?
It's a hot pack.
Why didn't you just say hot pack? Freddie Jones from downtown.
Because it's called a hydroculator.
You're too smart for me.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
So Jones with a 3, and it's an 8-point lead. Rasheed Wallace left open. And they need his offense. He has hit big shots so far in this postseason.
The amazing thing for the Pistons is that they have played awful, and they're just down 6 points. And Indiana has played pretty darn well, getting strong performances from Tinsley, Jermaine O'Neal, and Steve Jackson. They're 3 key players right now.
Jackson inside, nice move, can't finish. Fight for the rebound. Foster takes it away from Wallace. And this crowd is so fired up with the play of Jeff Foster.
In that way since the airport yesterday.
Jermaine O'Neal.
I came walking off the plane yesterday. Everybody's chanting, Pacers in 6, Pacers in 6.
Foster already with 2 offensive rebounds. O'Neal, excellent job defending Rasheed Wallace. Shot clock down to 7. Wallace inside, help defense from Foster. Here come the Pacers.
That was great team defense by the Indiana Pacers. Make Wallace double clutch and then come with the rotation from the second guy to send it back.
Billups with another deflection. And it's still Pacer ball. Good hustle from Chauncey Billups, who was also yesterday named to All-NBA second team and the All-Defensive team. Much deserving. His first selection.
I was a little amazed that the second team had 6 guys on it, and that's really a good defensive team when you get 6 guys on it.
Of course, Wallace, Defensive Player of the Year, plus first-team selection.
Chauncey Billups, his contributions being recognized, and Tayshaun Prince, who just exploded on the NBA scene. 2 years ago, the guy wasn't even able to get into the game. Now he's maybe the most important player as the Pistons try to repeat.
Ben Wallace sits. Antonio McDyess checks in. Austin Crozier's in for the first time for the Pacers as well. Lindsey Hunter, good harassment on Anthony Johnson. Went to the veteran. Such a big part of last year's championship.
There's been no transition opportunities whatsoever. The Pacers, if they've turned the ball over, they've been in good defensive balance. Sheep talking to the ref and calling for a foul instead of trying to make his own move.
Oh, nice move inside. Rasheed Wallace. He's yelling over at Joe Forte for some more.
Maybe we should just give him the broadcaster's mic as well.
I don't think that would be a good idea. Shot clock turned off in what has been a superb start for the Pacers. Anthony Johnson calling for Jackson to come over and get the ball or set a screen.
Well, they're initiating that dribble handoff of the screen.
Jackson won't go, and that will end the opening period. Excellent defense from the Indiana Pacers. As you see, the Pistons start off 28% from the floor. Meanwhile, for Indiana, Jamal Tinsley got it started on the offensive end. The Pacers with a big victory in Game 2. That momentum is carried on to the first quarter of Game 3. 12 minutes elapsed, a 6-point Pacer lead.
Welcome back to Indianapolis as we get ready for the second quarter. The Pacers have a 17-11 lead over the Detroit Pistons. I'm Jim Gray, very pleased to be joined by the Commissioner of the National Basketball Association, David Stern, who is making his first trip to Indianapolis to see the Pacers play since the suspensions were doled out. What's your reception been?
Very courteous and polite. Signed a few autographs and, just in the normal course.
David, how much consideration was given to allowing Ron Artest to participate in the playoffs?
Very little.
Why?
Because the suspension was for the season. And on due consideration, that meant the entire season, including the playoffs.
Is he free to return, barring anything unexpected in the summer next year?
Absolutely. I'm happy to report he's been doing everything that's been asked of him, and we fully expect him to be in camp and hopefully to have an all-star season next year.
David, I want to ask you your thoughts on this Pacer organization, the coaching staff, the ownership, and the players, what they've accomplished having gone through all of this.
Rick Carlisle has done one of the great coaching jobs, obviously, and the patching that had to go on because of injuries and suspension by Donnie Walsh and Larry Bird, it was just extraordinary. And obviously Herb and Mel Simon have been big stalwarts in this league, and it's nice to see their team get this far.
Commissioner, I want to ask you as we move on here in the playoffs, kiddingly last year you said you'd like to see the Lakers against the Lakers. What would you like to see this year?
I have no, I have no preference. Just the teams that fight their way in.
Final thought here. You'll be testifying next week in front of Congress regarding steroids. Is there anything that NBA fans should know that they don't know regarding your testimony? And is there a problem in the NBA?
Yeah, I don't believe there's a problem. We are the first league that had testing. We've improved it, but you can never improve it enough. So the fans should know that we're all for increased testing, and I don't believe that the Players Association is going to have a problem with that either.
David, thank you for your time. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Back to you, Mike.
Jim, thank you. Steven Jackson goes barreling into Lindsey Hunter to pick up the offensive foul.
Back to Commissioner Stern's comments, he really had a point there. Because you could argue that it was the Lakers against the Lakers last year in the finals.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about this incredible defensive stand right in there by Lindsey Hunter to draw that offensive foul on Steven Jackson, who clearly was out of control.
You were just guilty of what you said earlier about people not giving the Pistons enough credit. McDyess down low with Crozier.
I live in Southern California.
Pacers with a 4-point lead. So you were aware of all that controversy last year.
Controversy on the Lakers? Drama? The drama queens?
Now called on Rasheed Wallace. Now Wallace picks up his second, arguing with Danny Crawford. Good veteran crew on hand. Danny Crawford, Joe Forte, and Tom Washington, the officials for tonight's game.
Detroit is getting manhandled here on the road, and they're starting to blame the referees. They need to start becoming more assertive. And while everything has gone wrong, they remain down 4 points.
They're 6 of 21 from the field with 6 turnovers. And as you mentioned, it's only a 4-point deficit. Freddie Jones attacks the basket. Jones has not been playing as well. Had 16 points in Game 7 in the Boston series, but had not been exploding. But a nice spark off the bench here as we have a foul called against Jermaine O'Neal down the other end.
Freddie Jones got a broken finger on his shooting hand, so that's very, very difficult to be an effective player.
So O'Neal picks up that foul, and you can see this game's been physical, so the officials may be starting to tighten it up a little bit. James Jones fronting Tayshaun Prince and doing a good job. They like James Jones' defense. Ball knocked away. Freddie Jones with a help.
The Pacers are quicker to every loose ball. They're the ones that have the first step that's enabling them to get to the basket.
What you said earlier, Bill, is so true about this Pacer team. Defensively, not great individuals, but very good team defensive concepts, as Jermaine O'Neal can't hit.
Take advantage in transition now. Jermaine O'Neal is down. You got an advantage in numbers.
Alley-oop. That was a pass. Even the passes are bad right now. 7 turnovers for the Pistons.
And the Pistons keep backing up. Where is the old stance of, hey, we're coming out and stopping you 18 feet from the hoop?
Ben Wallace, terrific hands. They go to McDyess. Ben Wallace, the offensive board.
Pistons need a spark. They just seem to be misfiring on all cylinders.
They're trying to go to McDyess. Foster, good help defense there. Every time a Piston beats somebody off the dribble, Pacers help defense is right there.
And all they can do on the Detroit side is shake their heads right now. The Indiana Pacers looking like they're in complete control. What are the Pistons going to do about it?
Back in New York with the Taco Bell update, we move to golf. The streak of Tiger Woods, 142 consecutive cuts made, comes to an end today at the Byron Nelson. Last time he missed a cut was 1998, and that one he withdrew. In 174 professional starts, Tiger Woods has missed a cut just twice. And you want to know how good this record is? The current streak right now is 20, and that's Ernie Els, Mike and Bill.
All right, John. As Jeff Foster and the Pacers leading by 6. Foster already a spark like he was in Game 2.
We talked about the unpredictability of this Pacer team and of this series. Who would have ever thought that with Reggie Miller scoreless and Jermaine O'Neal with only 4 points, and we're almost midway through the second quarter, and the Pacers would be in complete control from the opening tip.
Look at the team right now. Anthony Johnson, James Jones, Foster, Fred Jones, 4 reserves, and Jermaine O'Neal. O'Neal. Johnson left open. Anthony Johnson had a terrific season. He's not a guy that's going to make anybody's all-star team. He's not even really a starter, but he has been the perfect backup point guard for a number of teams in his career. And what a job he did while Tinsley was out with the injury earlier this season.
In those games, they won at almost a 60% clip. And here's Fred Jones in transition.
Jones and Johnson foul on Chauncey Billups. And Billups will pick up his second.
Look at this lineup for the Pacers and take Jermaine O'Neal out of the equation. But with the transition opportunities, give it up early. Fred Jones, nice job. He's a finisher, not a creator on the break. Anthony Johnson earns himself a trip to the free throw line. And those years that he had with New Jersey, just outstanding, backing up Jason Kidd, which might be the most difficult job for any guard in all of the NBA.
He's bounced around 6 NBA teams in his career. Former second-round pick out of Charleston. As he gets the free throw, and a reminder, tomorrow night on ABC, Game 4 between the Heat and the Wizards. Wizards will try and stay alive at the MCI Center. It has been a great atmosphere there, but they're obviously up against it. And then Sunday, 3:30, we'll be back here, Game 4 at Conseco Fieldhouse between the Pistons and the Pacers. Meanwhile, TNT Sunday doubleheader, San Antonio and Seattle, and Phoenix and Dallas. 10-point lead for the Indiana Pacers.
The problem is not so much the lead, it's the fact that they got 13 points.
You see the 10 turnovers, Bill. As Phillips off the mark, he's complaining. He said, wait a minute.
Yeah,
he felt it was tipped.
He better complain and hope that the replay backs him up, or that might be the worst shot in the history of Detroit Pistons playoff basketball.
Well, Phillips is obviously a good shooter. Rare that he misses by that much. Foster, and the lead is a dozen.
Larry Brown needs a timeout. His team is falling apart.
He wants a 22nd timeout right now. And this crowd alive again as the hustling Pacers extend their lead.
Everybody delivering for Rick Carlisle. Jeff Foster provided a spark. Larry Brown just cannot believe he's beside himself.
8-0 run for the Pacers, and their bench is getting it done. Already 11 points from the bench. And the hustling Jeff Foster doing it again in Game 3. They are fired up watching the Pacers defense, which has been absolutely superb. Pistons 6 of 23 from the field. Let's go back to that Chauncey Billups shot.
Chauncey Billups steps back as the defense runs away. No, there's no touch by anyone, and Chauncey Billups is 3 feet wide to the right, making Tiger Woods look efficient.
I love it when you talk golf. Hamilton. McDyess trying to post up on O'Neal. Nowhere to go. Fall-away shot, but O'Neal with a bit of a shove. And Jermaine O'Neal picks up his second foul.
That's exactly the kind of defense that the Pacers want to play. Forget the double team. Detroit is not playing well offensively. You don't need to come down and help Jermaine O'Neal in that situation. It's just going to create wide open opportunities. And Antonio McDyess at the free throw line is a guy whose numbers have not held up over the playoffs, but still very, very effective.
Rasheed Wallace on the bench with 2 fouls. Prince also getting a long rest. Well, they've got 14 points in about 17 minutes of game time as McDyess cans a pair.
And here comes a press here. Larry Brown trying to get some sort of spark to his team right now, who seem to be playing in a haze, a fog, and the blank stares on so many of these players' faces. It's mind-boggling for the world champions.
Again, the Pacer bench doing a strong job here in the second period. Jones tied up. Mismatch with Hamilton on O'Neal.
Somebody's got to come help him.
Shot clock down at 3. Foster with another offensive rebound, but rushed the follow. And he comes up hobbling. Looked like he turned his ankle a bit.
Jeff Foster could not be reluctant. Ooh, nice pass by Lindsey Hunter.
And Antonio McDyess. 6 points for McDyess. 8-point Pacer lead.
Rick Carlisle wants to take a timeout and make sure that Jeff Foster is going to be okay. Foster has been a critical member of this Pacer attack, and you cannot take any chances there.
And a full timeout. We'll go back to what you said, Bill. You look at the way this game has gone. The Indiana Pacers have dominated, but the lead is just 8. 6.5 left here in the second from Conseco Fieldhouse.
Playoffs brought to you by Chevy and American Revolution Supercharged for 2005. Miller, there's good enough and there's better than it has to be. Miller, good call. Wendy's new Mediterranean chicken salad. Wendy's, it's better here. And the U.S. Postal Service. Just about anything you can do at the post office, you can do at USPS.com.
Larry Brown knows how fired up this crowd can be. He coached the Pacers for 4 years earlier in his career, and a couple of timeouts ago let his team know what he thought of their performance.
Not much can go worse than this. We're right here. You got to shoot the ball when you're open, all right? You got to shoot it.
So he knows that despite all the difficulties they've had, and they can't put anything in, they're only down by 8.
But of grave concern to the Pistons and their wonderful fans is that the Pistons are looking and playing like they can just turn it on whenever they want. And that's what Shaquille O'Neal is hoping for the next round of the playoff Eastern Conference Finals. That is an extremely difficult thing to do.
Especially with a veteran team like the Indiana Pacers. Tinsley tied up and he's fouled. Antonio McDyess with the personal, and that's the 3rd team foul against the Pistons.
The most important parts of basketball are mental, emotional, and who's got the momentum. And right now, this clearly seems to favor all of those elements, the Indiana Pacers, and playing at home for the entire weekend.
But as we saw in game 2, that can quickly shift. Miller with his first points of the night.
The great thing about Reggie is that even though they get him off balance, even though they get him leaning, he's always got that same identical release, the snap of the wrist.
And that big second half in game 2, 15 points after intermission. Shot clock down to 5. Lindsey Hunter for 3. Hunter has not been shooting well. As Ben Wallace can't get it. Excellent boxing out from Dale Davis.
Love that battle between Davis and Ben Wallace. But really, who's ever been in there inside, whether it's Jermaine O'Neal or Jeff Foster, they have been going toe-to-toe with the World Championship and coming out on top.
Miller trying to find Foster. Foster from outside. Nearly tipped in by Davis.
Why would the Pistons double team someone dribbling away from the basket? You got to play your normal straight up defense. That's what got you here.
Hamilton just can't find the range. 1 for 9 from the field. Jackson running down the floor. And that you rarely see from the Pistons. Poor transition defense like that.
How exasperating for Larry Brown. So much pride in that little man's body and heart. Now his team just coming out and not getting anything done.
Right now, so much anger in his heart the way his team did not get back defensively. McDyess with a travel. And that's the 11th turnover for the Pistons.
But the defense for Rick Carlisle and this Pacer squad go up and down the entire roster. They're quicker to the ball. They seem to be the more passionate warriors this evening. They're the ones who are saying, hey, we've come to play. What do you guys got?
Tinsley. Jackson for 3. Foster trying to keep it alive and comes up with the ball again. And a foul on the entry pass. McDyess will be called for his 2nd. And Jeff Foster gets the crowd on its feet once again with his 4th offensive rebound.
Now that is something to cheer about. Standing up and waving those towels, fist pumping in the air. Everybody was involved. Foster goes to the corner. Tip, a la Ben Wallace, falling out of bounds, finds Reggie, who then right to Tinsley, and the attack is on again. That's beautiful.
Foster, who grew up in San Antonio, used to go to games at Hemisphere Arena with his dad. Trying to get autographs from players. Who's a big David Robinson fan. Gets another offensive rebound and puts it in. The Jeff Foster story continues. And it's a 14-point lead, the largest of the half. And a foul away from the ball. Reggie Miller over aggressive. And for Miller, that's his first 3rd team foul against the Pacers.
Jeff Foster on the pick and roll. They go out and double team. No rotation whatsoever. One of the things I like so much about Ben Wallace is that he doesn't always put the shot back up. Jeff Foster can learn something from that, but that time able to finish it off.
Billups. Oh, nice shot from Chauncey Billups. His 2nd field goal. Just under 4 minutes remaining here in the 2nd, along with Bill Walton and Jim Gray. Mike Green on hand from Conseco Fieldhouse. Reggie Miller drawing a foul off the ball. It's going to go against Tayshaun Prince. And that's his first. And the Pistons in a penalty, so Miller will shoot his first free throw of this series.
But Reggie's no longer going to shoot a lot of free throws at this point in his career. To hear the roar of appreciation from the crowd out in the foyer, the rotunda of this incredible palace of Mecca.
As he knocks down the first, the WNBA season tips off on ABC as the Sparks take on the defending champion Seattle Storm next Saturday, May 21st at 4 p.m. on ABC.
But in that rotunda just outside the court area here, they have 7 or 8 big giant banners of Reggie Miller through the years and all the different awards, the gold medal from the Olympics, the All-Star games, the free throw champions, and all the different records that he has for this franchise. Reggie Miller on his way to the Hall of Fame.
At Reggie Miller Court, the street right outside of Conseco Fieldhouse. Prince, dangerous pass, shot clock at 3. Billups has to put it up. Oh, big 3 from Chauncey Billups.
Okay. At least you got somebody playing well on the offensive end for Detroit.
Billups with 7 points. That's their first 3-pointer.
Indiana is a notorious...
And Hamilton with another foul.
But Indiana is notoriously conservative on the offensive end. That's Rick Carlisle's standard of operation here. Let's just pound it in, grind it out. But right now, they're playing so well, and the crowd's so lathered up here. Just push. Go for the juggler right here.
So Miller will go to the line. Carlisle telling us today that when they lost Game 6 against Boston, and there was a chance that it was going to come to an end in Game 7, one of the main things he thought about was Reggie Miller, and he says he's thought about that when his career finally comes to an end in their last game this year. So he was so happy for Miller to get another series after the victory.
And I distinctly remember Antoine Walker pointing that out at the end of Game 6. Nice job by the Celtics.
Meanwhile, Miller coming alive here in the second with 6 quick points. Billups gets inside again, and a foul on Tinsley. That's going to be Tinsley's second personal, and Billups to the line as we'll have a timeout. But the Indiana Pacers with a strong first half. Jeff Foster, 4 offensive rebounds, 6 total off the bench. Pacers by 13.
Coming up on the Toyota halftime show, Shaq's streak came to an end, but he continued to talk. And Avery Johnson responded, and Tiger Woods had his streak come to an end as well.
It's unfortunate what happened to Tiger because I could empathize with him. I just made too many bogeys earlier today as well.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. The Indiana Pacers are finding out how to get a hold of the Detroit Pistons right now. They have completely disrupted everything they want to do on the offensive end of the floor. It's been kind of ugly, but it's kind of basketball Indiana needs to play.
Indiana's pretty good, though, right?
They really
The
are.
cut was 35. They might not make it, guys. Back to you. We'll see you at halftime.
John, thank you. 13-point lead. Part of it, once again, has been the all-out hustle for Jeff Foster. When asked about the dirty work, he says, it's how I got here, and it's how I'm going to stay here. Here's a guy, Jeff Foster. When he was in high school, he didn't make the JV team as a sophomore. Had to play JV as a junior. Almost quit the sport of basketball because it wasn't going so well. But he turned it around, a lot of it because of the help of his father. And right now, Jim Gray is with Mr. Foster.
With Stephen Foster, as you just said, Mike, thank you. Mr. Foster, you were the biggest influence, Jeff told us, in his life, in his basketball life. What's it like for you to sit here and watch him now in what's almost a heroic type of role?
It's really incredible. It's something neither Lynn nor my wife or I would ever expect when he was growing up, but I think we tried to prepare him for this, I guess.
And part of the way you prepared him was, he told us today, that you used to pay him for rebounds because you were sick of high school parents paying rewards for points. Tell us about that.
That's exactly right, because I wanted to give Jeff something to strive for. And he's a pretty field goal guy, but rebounds help a team. Points help too, but rebounds are a team thing. It helps a lot.
Are you more nervous than Pop Salihi is?
Probably.
We'll let you get back and enjoy the game. Congratulations. Thank you, Mr. Foster. Mike.
All right, Jim. Steve Foster built a half-court, indoor half-court at their home in San Antonio when he was in high school to help him. And he said to him, you've got to go after the ball more. And as Jim said, paid him for it. And his dad really a big boost for him and helping him continue his basketball career.
But also how important it was for Jeff Foster to have a real-life role model like David Robinson. For the Spurs, where he grew up, Jeff Foster able to see what hard work and determination will do. Jeff Foster epitomizes what's right with the NBA. a basketball player who happens to have physical skills and gifts.
I like what Larry Brown said about Foster after game 2. He said Foster is dedicated to rebounding. Meanwhile, Ben Wallace picking up that foul. And that's his first, so more free throws for the Pacers.
The Pacers right now are in such complete control of this game. Don't start gambling defensively. No one is playing well, with the exception on a limited basis of Chauncey Billups for the Pistons. Make them work to get hot. Don't just mindlessly, senselessly double team to give somebody a rhythm shot, which is going to give the Pistons a much-needed spark.
A 17-point lead for Indiana as we approach the 2-minute mark of what has been a nightmare first half for the defending champions.
And everybody for the Pacers is playing well at this point.
Ben Wallace draws the foul. Wallace will go to the line for 2. Dale Davis call for the personal.
But this is not a bad foul. He's one of the worst free throw shooters in the history of basketball.
He actually shot free throws pretty well in the series against Philadelphia, but he's struggling again in this series.
What does shooting pretty well mean for him?
64%. No, this is that. Of course, we've got doubleheader on ABC this weekend. First on Saturday, Game 4 Heat and Wizards. Then Sunday, Game 4 this one, Pistons and the Pacers. As the playoffs continue on ABC, home of the NBA Finals.
What a great crowd here. They are just pumped up. They are good. This is really the most remarkable story in sports going on right now. How this team, the Indiana Pacers, is in control of this series against the world champions.
And Jamal Tinsley, a big part of it. He's 4 for 4 from the field, 11 points, 3 assists. He makes all the difference. He's their starting point guard. They played without him much of the season, half of the year.
And all these great defensive players for the Pistons, they're having no impact whatsoever.
O'Neal goes down, but quickly bounces up.
Great transition defense by Indiana. Foster guarding everybody.
Tayshaun Prince has not scored. Prince that time gets off a good shot, won't fall.
The Pistons' go-to offense is Ben Wallace in the middle. And Tinsley is the guy who's just really calming everything down. Great pass.
Ball poked away by Hunter. Even on that one, they had a chance for a fast break. Jackson wanted the ball, and Tinsley said, no. Everything's okay. Let's keep it at this pace. He really controls the tempo beautifully.
Sounds pretty much like your conversations to me, Mike.
As Tinsley sits down, as does O'Neal and Jackson. Rick Carlisle sending in the reserves for the final 1:08 of the second period.
Don't get conservative. Keep the crowd lathered up. I'd keep running things through Foster and Tinsley, but Tinsley's on the bench right now.
Foster. Davis left wide open. Even Dale Davis knocking down jumpers.
Nice arc. that ball didn't get more than 10 feet and half an inch off the ground.
And everyone getting on their feet here at Conseco. Wallace and a foul before the shot. Pacers in the penalty as Dale Davis picks up another personal. That's his third. He's been in foul trouble a bunch lately. Doesn't like the call, obviously.
The last 3 or 4 possessions is going to clear out isolation for Ben Wallace. That's how bad things have gotten. Now, Ben has certainly evolved into an offensive force, but when he's your go-to guy, I don't know.
Scott Pollard makes the rare appearance. We'll play the final 47 seconds. Davis has to be careful. He's pointing at Danny Crawford. You don't want to do that. And Crawford tells him enough. 3 fouls for Dale Davis, who was instrumental when he was assigned as a free agent in March, returning to the team he began his NBA career with. When Jermaine O'Neal went down with the injury, he became the starting center.
And there was a lot of talk that Dale Davis might go to Detroit, but he looked at the Pistons roster and said, you know what, I'm not going to get any playing time right there.
He's gotten the playing time for the Pacers as O'Neal chatting with Danny Crawford. It's all Indiana here in the first half. Brown and the Pistons, as Reggie Miller's Pacers leading by 16. They've been up by as many as 18. Trying to get the victory here at Conseco. As we mentioned, they lost 2 of 3 in the Celtics series. During the regular season, they were 25-16 at home. This crowd has certainly helped. They've been right in it from the opening tip.
Shot clock certainly favors Indiana right now, but the press trying to take that ball away. Only problem for the Pacers in this first half is they spent too much time whining and complaining to the referees. You're ahead by 17.
Shot clock already down to 10. Miller trying to get free. Miller for 3. And McNice the rebound. Pistons will hold it for the final shot of the half.
Finally a good defensive possession for the world champion Pistons.
Crowd getting on its feet again. Phillips with the drive. Tough fall-away shot. Way short, but a foul. And Phillips will shoot. And it's Anthony Johnson. Picks up his first.
Pacers had him shut down. Chauncey Billups, who's been really the only player who's gone on any kind of a run, and that run by itself was just 2 consecutive baskets. So
Billups, all his numbers across the board are up from the regular season. Of course, last year's NBA Finals MVP, turning into one of the best complete guards in the NBA in terms of playing both ends of the floor.
But they've dug themselves such a huge hole. The crowd is going to be all fired up. That's not a good sign right there for Rip Hamilton's injury.
Here's Anthony Johnson. Was it deflected? Yes. So they still have a second to try and get a shot off. Plenty of time for a catch and shoot. Carlisle calls out a play. Chance of Reggie. Reggie erupting.
Set 4 screens for Reggie. Send this crowd into delirium. Yes.
Miller for 3. Not even close.
But what beautiful execution. He set a screen and then he got 2 screens.
But not even the 2-foot air ball can diminish the enthusiasm here at Conseco Fieldhouse. There's another terrific half for Jeff Foster of the Pacers. We go to Jim Gray.
All right, he had 4 points, 6 rebounds. Jeff, what has gotten into you here the last couple of games? Where's this coming from?
Hey, I'm just out here trying to help this team win and win games and try to advance to the next round. So just out here playing as hard as I possibly can, and hopefully it's rubbing off on my teammates.
It has. Jeff, how have you guys managed to hold the Pistons to such a low shooting percentage and 28 points here?
Well, I think we picked up our defense a little bit, and then we've been fortunate that they've been missing some shots. So we have a tough second half ahead of us. We have to continue our pressure and hope they continue to miss shots.
Jamal has been able to dominate this game. Larry Brown said it to us in between games, and he's done it again tonight. Why has he been able to?
He's such a huge asset to us. He's just able to get in there, get into the depth of their defense, and either get shots for himself or find other guys. And he's been key to us tonight, and hopefully he can come out in the second half and have the same sort of performance he did in the first half.
Jeff, your dad's going to owe you some money for those rebounds, you know.
Man, hopefully he made me proud there on national TV. I saw him pick up the phone as soon as he got done with you, so someone's obviously calling him.
He did, and he was very good. Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Jim.
Back to you, Mike.
All right, Jim. In the second half of Game 2, the Pistons only scored 33 points. In the first half of Game 3, only 28 points. As a reminder, coming up, the Toyota Halftime Show. Shaquille O'Neal speaks and Avery Johnson responds. Find out what that's about. Of course, the Tiger Woods story missing the cut, plus the Suns and the Mavericks. A preview of that one coming up later tonight on ESPN. The Indiana Pacers strong. They lead by 14 at halftime. We'll have more after these messages. We'll join John Saunders in the studio for the Toyota Halftime Show. And the Pacer defense, the story, they lead the Pistons 42-28. Normally in a playoff series, it's the team that loses the previous game that comes out with more desperation in the following game. That's not been the case tonight, Bill.
The Detroit Pistons, the reigning world champions, they're in trouble right now. And if they don't pick it up right now, they're facing a lost weekend here in Indianapolis because it has just been an absolute nightmare. They've been getting pounded by the bench. Everyone for Indiana is playing very well. The field goal percentage has just been a nightmare for the Detroit Pistons. And who's been able to control Jeff Foster?
Right, he's leading that bench, and he's part of our Gatorade Kudo Talk. Around the coolers say, you see what that guy Foster did again, and he's done it again here tonight.
He has become the Ben Wallace of the surging Indiana Pistons. They were given no chance to beat the Boston Celtics. They won the 7th game in Boston. Reggie Miller being freed up by screens, and then when Reggie can't get it to fall, Jeff Foster is absolutely everywhere, and that's why he is the cooler talk man of this universe.
Let's send it to Jim Gray.
All right, Mike, I spoke to Rip Hamilton. He is having trouble with his right calf. He's having trouble pushing off and elevating and taking his jump shot. He has taken the guard and the padding off. He will play here in the second half, but he says it has tightened up on him. I talked to Larry Brown. He said, we have to play like we did in the last 3 or 4 minutes of the half. It wasn't pretty, but we were aggressive. We got to the free throw line. He said, we've got to change sides with the ball, too. They've stopped guarding Ben Wallace, and we can't just stand there when they're not guarding him. We've got to get the ball to the other side. I'm happier with our effort tonight. At least we're trying. Mike?
Well, Richard Hamilton, as Jim mentioned, struggling 1 of 9 from the field and 3 turnovers as Rasheed Wallace misses the first shot. And their shooting woes continue as Tinsley nearly throws it away.
Jim Gray reported that Larry Brown is happy with them trying, but you can never mistake activity for achievement, and there's just been nothing accomplished by this World Championship squad.
Jackson had to rush that 3 as the shot clock was winding down.
And Tayshaun Prince has yet to score in this game.
Only took 3 shots, does have 6 rebounds, but there's been a lot of rebounding opportunities for the Pistons with all the missed shots, as Billups really the one player that's able to get anything going offensively.
Antonio McDyess has done a decent job off the bench in very limited minutes. He's the only player who came in and made any sort of contribution. Lindsey Hunter, the only other bench player for Larry Brown in the first half.
Billups with 13. Jackson and a turnover.
Careless.
And Billups can't get it to fall, but I'll keep going back to it. Now, eventually the Pistons have to start playing better. But you consider how poorly they've played in terms of offensive execution and shooting the ball. They're still only down 11.
Consecutive turnovers here. Billups.
And Billups fouled. Tinsley does not like the call, nor does any of the fans here at Seco, but that's the 3rd foul on Jamal Tinsley.
Way too much dribbling by guys who should never put it on the floor, Steve Jackson and Reggie Miller. The last 6 quarters for the Detroit Pistons.
You looked ahead, the 33 points took the 15-point lead in game 2. But since then, the Pacer defense has been terrific. Billups hits the first free throw.
It's like an inverse Laffer curve.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
And with Chauncey Billups at the free throw line, maybe you could sort of get a spark from the one guy on the team who's playing well. And while everybody else just seems to be acting like, well, the Indiana Pacers are going to hand us this game.
A 9-point lead right now. It's been up by as many as 18. Miller foul. Shot's good. And 1. Hamilton picks up his 2nd.
And there goes Reggie over there for the ritual of the talcum powder, taking it from Mike Abdenauer, who then goes and hides it from him so Reggie Miller can't get it back. But Reggie is documented as being one of the most superstitious and ritualistic players in the NBA.
Right.
Maybe in NBA history. Well, today is Friday the 13th. It's also Stevie Wonder's birthday today. And you had that great song, Superstitious. So it all sort of flows together here, Mike.
Very, very, very nice. I was wondering where you're going with that. Hamilton puts it in. By the way, that last foul on Hamilton, I want to correct myself. That was his 3rd foul. And it's a 10-point game. Just over 2 minutes gone by here in the 3rd. Tinsley had that terrific start to the game. Jackson has struggled shooting. Gets inside, trying to draw contact. Pretty shot from Steven Jackson.
Right in the face of 3 of the world champions and the best defenders. Rasheed, Ben, Tayshaun, Steve Jackson, Reggie Miller. They're just taking it right to the Pistons.
Jackson extending on Prince. Jackson's had a good defensive series. Prince makes his move, knocked away, turnover, number 12 for the Pistons.
Jackson is not normally a disciplined ball player. Great transition opportunity. Oh, Reggie wanted a hold from behind.
The exaggerated flailing of the arms.
Oh, please. This is the UCLA legend, Reggie Miller, on his way to the Hall of Fame. You obviously didn't go out and see those banners out in the rotunda here of Conseco Fieldhouse today.
He is the master of the overreaction.
Sounds like you live in New York.
Prince calling for the ball. Knocked away again, Steven Jackson.
Well, Steven Jackson has totally outplayed Tayshaun Prince tonight.
Tinsley, 5 for 5 from the field. And the lead back up to 14.
And Larry Brown just sits over there, frustrated, disappointed. What can he do? He's only got a limited number of timeouts. We've already passed the trading deadline.
Jermaine O'Neal right up on Rasheed Wallace.
That's great individual and team defense.
The Pistons, one of, if not the best defensive team in the league. The Spurs right there with them. But it's the Pacers defense that is putting on a clinic here tonight. Tinsley.
Pistons are not outworking their opponents, which is usually their trademark. They have not got any transition opportunities.
Phillips off the mark that time.
Chauncey mishandled the dribble. He was trying to pass. Regroup in that situation and get off to somebody else. No need to shoot.
Chauncey Phillips told us yesterday some of it was coming too easy. They were 10-1 in the month of April. Won in 5 games against Philly. An easy victory in game 1 in this series. Well, all of a sudden they find themselves in a battle. Dale Davis. As the shot clock expires, and a foul.
The celebration underway here at Conseco. Dale Davis with the Dr. J double clutch. Who would have ever thought? The ball movement, crisp, sharp, strong attack, going right by the Defensive Player of the Year, Ben Wallace, and there's nothing that Detroit can do. They continue to struggle offensively and falling further and further behind.
And the lead back up to 17. A 7-0 run for the Pacers. Hamilton trying to get untracked, running Miller off screens.
That leg cannot be right for Rip Hamilton.
Phillips puts it in. With Chauncey Phillips right now single-handedly keeping him in the game.
But why are they double-teaming Rip Hamilton? I'd leave him open at best. And stay with Chauncey Phillips and stay with Tayshaun Prince.
Phillips has 18 of the 38 points. O'Neal. And Rasheed Wallace, tough rebound.
Best defensive sequence of the night for the world champion Pistons.
Tayshaun Prince, the runner, can't get it to fall. And Prince remains scoreless.
Push the ball if you're Indiana right now. Don't get into a grinded-out game.
And if you're just tuning in, make note, it's the third quarter that score. 52-38. The defending champs really struggling on the offensive end, shooting 32%.
Screen by Reggie to set himself up.
Shot clock winding down. O'Neal has to put it up. And Hamilton the rebound. Hamilton looking to post up Tinsley, who has 3 fouls. Prince and a blocking foul on Jermaine O'Neal. That's his third.
That whole sequence was set up because Steve Jackson went over to double team Rip Hamilton. Rip Hamilton's not doing anything.
It's been a tough night for Rip Hamilton and the defending champion Pistons.
And McDonald's. Playoffs go better with a McDonald's double quarter pounder with cheese sandwich. Pound one.
The defense of the Pacers shutting down some of the key players for the Pistons. Rip Hamilton, Rasheed Wallace, and Tayshaun Prince not getting it done because of the defense of Indiana. And of course, Rick Carlisle, we talked about him earlier. What a great job he's done with this team. Of course, he spent a lot of years as an assistant coach as well, and he relies on his assistants. One of the guys who does it defensively is Mike Brown. Mike Brown, there you see him standing just about to sit down. Was an assistant for 3 years in San Antonio, also an assistant in Denver and Washington. He is going to be a head coach in this league someday, and someday soon. He has done a great job defensively where he's been, and Rick Carlisle has relied heavily on the Mike Browns and the Kevin O'Neills on his staff, and the Danny Burks as well.
Mike Brown played his college basketball at University of San Diego, where his college coach then went on to become one of Greg Popovich's top assistants. And when you talk about the learning from your coaches, one of Rick Carlisle's great mentors is here tonight, the Hall of Famer Chuck Daly, who's doing television work on the Detroit Pistons network.
Well, Tayshaun Prince, that free throw, his first point of the night. Just past the midway point of the third. O'Neal. Miller, that's a three. Reggie Miller 0 for 5 from three-point range. Prince can't get it to fall, knocked out of bounds. And it looked like it was last touched by Foster. Well, that's not what Danny Crawford rules.
But Foster is everywhere and continues his enormous imprint on this series. And with Jermaine O'Neal playing a solid defensive game, what are the big men going to do for Detroit? Remarkably, the Pistons have zero second chance points in this entire game.
Former teammates with the Blazers going at it there. O'Neal against Rasheed Wallace. And O'Neal just 2 of 9 from the field. Phillips, tough shot.
But he gets it back on defense, Jermaine O'Neal, and they have numbers. Got to capitalize.
Anthony Johnson slowing it down.
Are you old enough to remember when there were fast breaks in basketball?
I watched Phoenix the other night in Dallas. Foster on a nice entry pass. Foster 6 points, 8 rebounds.
Tayshaun Prince is walking around this court dazed, almost in a haze.
Give a lot of the credit, though, to Steven Jackson. Jackson's done an excellent job on him as Rasheed Wallace able to put it in. Yeah, needs some offense from him. He has to be aggressive looking for a shot now because besides Chauncey Billups, no one else is really finding their offense.
Indiana's offense has to continue what their strength is, which is ball movement, not the isolation play for Jermaine O'Neal.
Miller. And Billups the rebound.
Finally, Rasheed Wallace has realized that he's got to keep Jeff Foster off the offensive glass. Great boxed out that time by Rasheed.
Rip Hamilton can't get it to fall, and Anthony Johnson comes away.
Push the ball, attack.
Jackson on the no-look. Oh! Jackson misses the dunk. He tried to get too fancy.
He got caught off the wrong foot. There was no body continuity.
And quickly, Rip Hamilton finally able to put it in. He's just 3 of 12 from the field, but that cuts it back to 11.
Pacers just made a terrible gaffe here. Now try to move beyond that and don't hang your head and get involved in the negativity.
One thing this team hasn't done this year is hang their head, that's for sure. Steven Jackson trying to draw some contact. And Rasheed Wallace deflects it last.
What a great teammate. Jeff Foster right over there to pick up Steve Jackson. Sends him away. Don't help me up. What's up with that?
I want to sit here and brood a while.
You just said they don't hang their heads. How about some consistency, Mr. Breen?
They'll inbound with 6 remaining on the 24. Jermaine O'Neal sits Dale Davis back in. Steven Jackson gets himself up off the floor.
No Reggie Miller, so you can't run that brilliant baseline out of bounds play. That's a tough pass there.
Freddie Jones. Davis going to have to shoot. Hamilton takes it right to the basket. Offensive foul. And Steven Jackson shaken up on the play. Looked like one of those neon knees. And even though Jackson wasn't set, Hamilton initiated the contact and just banged right into him. That's 4 fouls on Richard Hamilton.
Well, this is as easy a play as a call the referee's going to have all night. But Rip Hamilton just expecting everybody to get out of the way. What's up with that?
You're watching the 2005 NBA playoffs on ESPN.
Just under 3 minutes remaining, third quarter. here in Indianapolis, and the Pacers still with the 11-point lead. The series tied at 1 apiece. Game 4 is going to be Sunday. We'll have that game on ABC for you. And Jeff Foster and Ben Wallace, two of the all-time hustle guys, at least right now in the NBA. They get their rebounds because of desire and effort. And Foster having another terrific game.
Don't discount Jeff Foster's athleticism. This guy's quick, light on his feet, got a nice spring in his leap. And when you talk about the keys to this series being rebounds and limiting your turnovers, the Pacers +1 in this game and have a commanding overall series lead in rebounding, and have only committed 10 turnovers tonight that have led to just 4 points for the Pistons offense. Great transition defense for the homestanding Pacers.
Jackson against Prince. Jackson spinning, triple teamed, and he puts it in. He keeps, he just hit a shot. He's complaining to the official about the call. You talked about this earlier. He's got to stop at this play.
He's an emotional roller coaster. The strength of his game is his emotion, but it's also his biggest liability.
Phillips can't hit.
Look at Foster. I mean, Foster has looked at Rasheed and Ben Wallace and says, "You guys have got nothing on me."
That's his 9th rebound. That's also not his personality to say that.
That's what he's thinking, I tell you that.
He's more like saying, you guys are good too. Anthony Johnson with the offensive rebound. It's contagious. Under 2 minutes remaining.
I don't think you would have enjoyed playing with me.
Johnson, tough shot with a hand in his face. He's got 6 points and 5 assists off the bench. Another strong game for the backup point guard.
The bench, the strategy, the game plan, the attack, everything in favor of the home team. And now the Pistons are scratching their heads and saying, what do we do? Where do we go?
Ben Wallace, quick move. And nice finish. You know, we asked him yesterday, you see a lot more, you worked on post moves. You got new post moves. He says, no, they've always been there. I'm just getting a chance to show them now. Offensive foul on Anthony Johnson. That's his second. See, he pushed off on the dribble.
Chauncey Billups, one of the great defensive guards, easy play to call, the wraparound right there. No need for that. Wait till he reaches. That arm comes out. That's an automatic call.
Well, what I don't understand, how do you argue that? I mean, it's clear that you wrapped him around.
Well, Chauncey argued the air ball early.
Right. Prince for 3. And Wallace tips it out. Tayshaun Prince 0 for 6 from the field. And a foul on Dale Davis. A little extra shove after the whistle.
What's great about Dale Davis and this matchup with Ben Wallace, these are two guys that like to get physical. And unlike some other players, when these two guys go at it, there's not a lot of whining and complaining. They would just as soon the referees let them play and call fouls somewhere else on the court.
Davis's 4th foul, 14th foul. We asked Ben Wallace yesterday about, you know, with what happened back on November 19th with the brawl. Is it almost there's kind of a bond between these two teams? And he said that he thought there was. That they really do have a respect for each other. A lot of them played with each other on other teams, so there's a high respect factor. It's not
nice.
Oh, nice. Beautiful tip. Oh, what a block from Lindsey Hunter comes out of nowhere. And Phillips looking down low. Hunter showing a little Tayshaun Prince defense there. Foster pokes it away.
Remarkable sequence there. That tip away by Jones. Oh, and then the recovery by Lindsey Hunter. And now a Foster strip.
Well, we've seen some terrific defense here tonight. Hence the low scoring. Johnson puts it up. And he fires it down. Ain't plenty of time. Wallace just heaved it down.
He heard the buzzer, thinking it was the quarter buzzer.
Yep,
and it was the shot clock buzzer.
Exactly. They have 4/10 of a second remaining. Jones won't even try it. And the Indiana Pacers will head into the 4th quarter with a 13-point lead.
The poke away, and then Anthony Johnson trying to finish, but Lindsey Hunter comes from behind and pulls it back. Truly remarkable here.
Lindsey Hunter all 6'2" with a spectacular block. But it's still the defense of the Indiana Pacers. We've played 3 quarters, and the defending champions have 45 points.
Welcome back to Indiana. The Pacers lead by 13 as we get ready for the 4th quarter. I'm now joined by the former head coach of the Detroit Pistons. He won 2 world championships there. He was the Dream Team coach, won a gold medal, doing color commentary for the Pistons tonight. Chuck, you repeated in this league. How hard is it?
It's brutal because of the mental aspect of it. Not only physical, where they come after you every night, but the process of going over and over through it and going so deep into the year.
Is that what's happening with the Pistons here tonight and the last game?
No, I don't think so. I think the tempo dictated by the Pacers and their ability to score out of it. Tinsley, they've got to control. He's the only guy on the floor that could go get shots and get other people shots.
Chuck, what did you see in Rick Carlisle? Of course, he was an assistant with Bill Fitch, but then he was with you for years.
Well, he's a brilliant guy. He's a hard worker. He's a great thinker, and he's got the perfect demeanor.
Chuck, we appreciate your time. Let you get back to your broadcast. Thanks for joining us.
Bye-bye.
All right, back to you, Mike.
All right, Jim. Well, he looks great. The Hall of Famer, Chuck Daly. What a great example of life, happiness, and joy. That guy's fun.
They're talking about the impact of Tinsley as Hamilton knocks it down and a foul. Richard Hamilton cuts it to 11. As Jones, Freddie that is, picks up his first.
And Indiana has such a propensity to grind games out at the end to only try to win by 3 or 4. That is not a good strategy against this team, Detroit, which has so much championship experience and poise under pressure. With Hamilton, there's got to be something seriously wrong with that leg because he's playing awful.
And he hurt his right calf in the 2nd quarter of game 2. He admitted to Jim Gray that it was bothering him. Foul call on Lindsey Hunter over aggressive. That's his first and the team's first. Hamilton 4 of 13 from the field. You saw him miss that free throw, and he also has 4 turnovers.
But when you're playing basketball with a leg injury, you can't get it out of your mind. And everything you do comes from the lower legs.
Hamilton's had another just terrific season. Him and Billups have formed what a lot of people think is the best backcourt in the NBA, but they have their hands full tonight. Anthony Johnson hits a 3. 9 points for the backup point guard.
And it's a good thing that went down because Jeff Foster had a mismatch and Freddie Jones waved him out and said, get out of the way. Nice defense, Anthony Johnson.
Prince, hard drive and a block and a foul. And Prince will go to the line.
Mike, you mentioned earlier that the world champion Pistons have great respect for their Indiana Pacers. I don't agree with that. I think they're getting respect right now because they're getting pounded. And the physical response that we've seen from this Pacer team, and when you're the world champions, you think that the rest of the league is a bunch of chumps.
Prince hits the first, although Ben Wallace, he went on and on yesterday about the respect factor he has for Reggie Miller, about the respect factor he has for Jeff Foster. Rasheed Wallace has talked about the respect for his former teammate Jermaine O'Neal, so I do think it's there. And I don't think they feel that the Pacers have any chance to beat them in the playoffs series.
Right. Well, that's the kind of respect I'm talking about. You can say what you want in an interview, but it's what you think in your hotel room when the door is locked and the drapes are closed.
I don't want to know what you think in your hotel room when the door's locked. O'Neal misses and Ben Wallace the rebound. Still plenty of time remaining. Rasheed Wallace way off the mark, and Ben Wallace with his 11th rebound.
No reset of the shot clock.
Hunter. They took 2 shots and the shot clock wouldn't reset because they didn't hit the rim on either one. 31% shooting for the Pistons.
But the Pacers are not trying to take advantage of the woeful offense of the Pistons. Over dribbling by Anthony Johnson.
Shot clock down to 5. O'Neal. James Jones. And just hits the rim. And Hunter. Nice pickup.
Look at the lineup that Rick Carlisle has in there.
He went with the same lineup for a while in the 2nd quarter, and it was successful.
what is Larry Brown thinking? I mean, if we can't beat these guys, how are we going to repeat as champions?
Rasheed Wallace, another air ball. 3 straight air balls for the Pistons.
Rasheed might want to think about going into the post. Maybe get to the foul line. Lindsey Hunter doing everything.
Hamilton releases. Foster in pursuit. And a foul. And Foster, it was a smart foul that time.
Tremendous defensive play by Foster. Made Hamilton think about the shot, throw up a wild left-handed flip shot that really had no chance, and made sure that he didn't hurt himself, Foster, or Rip Hamilton. That's a class act right there.
So Foster picks up his second. We've seen a lot of that in this series in terms of guys getting knocked down, helping each other up. You normally don't see that a lot in the playoffs, but we've seen it here as Hamilton hits the first. And a reminder, tomorrow on ABC, primetime, Game 4 between the Heat and the Wizards. They'll try and get that raucous crowd at the MCI Center going. The Wizards trying to get a victory in that series. Then Sunday, 3:30, we'll be back here at Conseco on ABC. And it's Game 4 between the Pistons and the Pacers. And then TNT, San Antonio and Seattle, Game 4, followed by Phoenix and Dallas, Game 4. Of course, Phoenix and Dallas coming up next on ESPN. Second game of our doubleheader tonight.
I just feel awful about Joe Johnson. That is such a special performer, such a critical member of that Phoenix juggernaut. And now he's out with the facial fracture.
10-point game, just under 9 to play. Freddie Jones attacks the basket. And a foul.
Exactly how you beat somebody who's got physical talent and edge over you. Freddie Jones right down the lane. The whole defense converges and just teases at the quick flip shot. And the Pistons on the ropes in the fourth.
Greg Anthony back in the studio with the Wendy's update. Take you back to last night. No Shaquille O'Neal, but it didn't bother the Heat.
No, because they had plenty of Wade. And Dwayne Wade is really starting to emerge as the most dominant player in the playoffs.
In the Spurs-Sonics series, Ray Allen didn't have a terrific game, but the Sonics did get it.
Well, the effort, the things that they've been doing all year to really compliment Rashard Lewis and Ray Allen came through in a big win against the Spurs.
Want to remind everybody, tomorrow night on ABC, 8 o'clock Eastern time, will the Wizards be able to prolong this series, or will the Heat wrap it up? And will Shaquille O'Neal be in uniform? Not likely. Back to you, Mike.
Indiana Pacers leading by 12 with 8:50 remaining, fourth quarter of this important Game 3 of this Eastern Conference semifinal. Our GMC game track.
Important, no time to understate it. Chauncey Billups really the only guy doing anything for the world champion Pistons. Jeff Foster has been everywhere. Those numbers may not look like much, but in a low-scoring game, they become huge. Poking it away. The Pacers able to generate 17 big points off turnovers. Their big key tonight was to not turn it over themselves. They've turned it over 12 times, Indiana has, but they've only given up 6 points. And with the Pistons not getting a single point off second chance opportunities, the Pacers in firm control not only of this game, but apparently of this series as well.
They've led by double figures almost the entire second half. It was briefly a 9-point lead. Hamilton can't draw the foul, and O'Neal the rebound.
Forced shots. The world champions are playing like individuals right now. That's not the strength of that team.
But credit the Pacer defense. Jones blocked by Wallace. Wallace's first block of the night.
And one problem for Larry Brown, while Ben Wallace is doing a nice job defensively, is that Larry Brown's not getting any support off his bench. All the points have come from Antonio McDyess, and that was early. Lindsey Hunter did a nice job, but couldn't put a single point up there himself. While the Pacer bench has 22 combined points on 9 for 15 field goal percentage.
Well, Pistons players have been playing a lot of minutes. Hamilton, 44 minutes. Tayshaun Prince, 44 minutes.
Pacers defense holding the Pistons to 31 shooting. They've got 8 steals, and Hamilton and Prince are a combined 4 for 19 shooting.
Tinsley with the runner.
And that 4 for 19 is the same number that Jamal Tinsley was as the lead point guard in Game 2 with the Indiana Pacers.
There's McDyess. Prince puts it up. And Tayshaun Prince with his first field goal of the night. He was 0 for 6 and knocks that one down to make it an 11-point game.
And now you're walking it up. It's a nightmare for Indiana Pacer fans when they play this isolation stand-around game. Give it to one guy and clear out.
Steven Jackson and a foul on Prince. So Prince picks up his second and the third team foul against the Pistons.
You talk about confidence. Steve Jackson, he thinks he's the best player in this game. He's taking Tayshaun Prince and just backing him down.
Freddie Jones gets a nice ovation. Jones with some important minutes. 8 points and 15 minutes off the bench.
This crowd is on fire. The entire region here in the Midwest.
And remember, the last time they played here was Game 6, that very disappointing loss to the Celtics. And many thought it was Reggie Miller's last game at Conseco Fieldhouse. As you hear more chants of Reggie, he's got a few more to play. Tinsley with a shot clock winding down, has McDyess on him. Down to 3. Tinsley falling away. Not a good shot. And Foster, another offensive rebound. And a foul. Jeff Foster, now in this series, has 22 offensive rebounds. We're not even finished Game 3. And he gets a huge ovation. 6 points, 11 rebounds total.
Why do you take him out? It's not like Dale Davis has been lighting it up, and Dale's in serious foul trouble.
They like Davis's post defense.
And they're chanting Foster, Foster, and I don't think they want beer.
Miller. Jackson had him open, decides to shoot the 3. Miller was open, cutting across, and Jackson took a bad shot. Oh, Jackson 4 for 15 from the field.
Chance to get it under double digits for the first time in what seems like our lifetime. But Chauncey Billups needs to get guys taking good shots, unlike the one that Steve Jackson just chucked up.
Tayshaun Prince, another one. And it's back to 9.
An immediate timeout by Rick Carlisle.
And still plenty of time remaining. 6:51 left. And Carlisle does not like the last couple of possessions.
Tayshaun Prince coming off the screen right now. A chance to cut it down to single digits for the first time in the second half. Finally, a perimeter jumper, a team game execution.
ESPN's presentation of the NBA playoffs, brought to you by GMC Trucks and SUVs. We are professional grade. Taco Bell, think outside the bun. Cialis. Cialis is here. Ask your doctor if a free sample of Cialis is right for you. And thank you from Citi.
Steve Nash is the MVP, but his Suns, the best record during the regular season, are dead even with the Mavericks. That game is coming up next. Mike.
John, thank you. Indiana Pacers still with a 9-point lead, but the Pistons making a little dent, and there's still plenty of time. 6:51 remaining. Remember last year, Bill, Detroit, they had their bumps early in the playoffs. In their first round series, they lost Game 2 at home to Milwaukee. Then in the second round, they were down 3-2 to New Jersey. Even in the third round, the conference finals to these Pacers, they lost Game 1. So they've shown the ability to bounce back and still win a championship.
Well, one of the problems that they have is that their best player tonight, Chauncey Billups, has been nullified, and they call a foul on Antonio McDyess, who rarely complains, and they're going to tee him up right here.
Antonio McDyess just reacted too emotionally, and that's what you call showing up the referee. You can't jump up and down like that. Now, Danny Crawford is a guy who normally lets guys in a playoff game a little extra leash on that. But McDyess hopped up and down. And Miller will shoot the free throw.
And started the flailing of the arms that you were complaining about Reggie Miller doing earlier on.
And it wasn't just one reaction. Let's watch.
Which is an easy play to call as a foul, but then the jumping up and the swinging and a little bit of language right in Danny Crawford's face.
Dice with 5 fouls.
But that's an error that could really hurt you for Antonio, and who has meant so much to this team. And I'm so proud of the way he's been able to get back into the big picture of the NBA after the years out with the injury.
Well, Larry Brown is upset with Danny Crawford for calling that technical, but it was very demonstrative, the reaction.
But you're coming back. You're on the road. You're up against it. And every single point counts. Finally, you got Tayshaun Prince doing something.
Free throw shooting in this game. The Pacers 14 of 16. They've been excellent from the line in the postseason. One of the better playoff free throw shooting teams. O'Neal only 8 points. But he's been perfect from the line in this series, 12 for 12.
Tinsley's had a strong game. Backed up by Anthony Johnson. They've completely nullified Chauncey Billups here.
Hamilton and a foul. Miller bumped him, and Hamilton continued to play, and he's got a chance for a three-point play.
So difficult to guard Rip Hamilton, who never stops moving, never gets tired, despite the fact that he's got the bad right leg, which is not his jumping leg. That's at least a good qualifier for Rip Hamilton. And now a little bit of rhythm in the offense for the world champion Pistons.
Hamilton, after that horrible start, now with 14 points.
And you see Chauncey Billups getting a little bit more serious, picking up Tinsley in the backcourt, taking time off the clock.
O'Neal and Wallace going at it. And let's see what's going to be called. A timeout call by Reggie Miller. What a smart play from Miller as O'Neal just got possession of the ball.
Presence of mind. Training your mind. Reggie Miller ahead of the curve.
A 20-second timeout. It was going to be a tie-up, and it was going to be a held ball.
The leadership of Reggie Miller, the 19-year veteran, sees quickly that his man has lost possession, control, balance, and Joe Forte right on it.
And you saw Forte was looking at the play, so he saw that O'Neal had possession. For a team to call timeout, you obviously have to have possession, and it's obvious that an opponent can, or one of your teammates can call time away from the play like that.
But you have to have that quick voice and a piercing voice like Reggie does to get into that referee's ear, who's not thinking timeout and who's always being bombarded with all the elements here.
So 6 left on the shot clock. Jackson will inbound from deep in the corner. And the fans getting on their feet again here at Conseco.
Reggie Miller off screen, and then Steve Jackson inbound it and get it back to him.
Bad pass. Davis couldn't handle it. And here comes Chauncey Billups. Stutter move from Billups. And a foul. Chauncey Billups makes it a 7-point game. This is the closest the Pistons have been in the second half.
Finally, signs of life from Detroit. Chauncey Billups in transition, just going to lower his shoulder, get right to the hoop. That little hesitation caught Jermaine O'Neal off guard, and he relaxed. He had him shut down. I think Jermaine O'Neal made a decision that Chauncey's going to back this one out. And when Chauncey kicked it into overdrive there, Jermaine O'Neal had no chance.
4 fouls on O'Neal. Billups, one of the best free throw shooters in the NBA, makes it a 6-point game. And we're just midway through the fourth. They are right back in this game.
Now, Jamal Tinsley has to look at Chauncey Billups and says, you know what, if he's going to meet me in the backcourt, I got to go by him.
Tinsley, nice feed inside, but O'Neal was double-teamed. Jackson trying to find room. Blocked by Ben Wallace. Foster's tip won't go.
Things have completely changed. Momentum all in favor of Detroit.
And Hamilton throws it away. Their 16th turnover.
That last possession on the offensive end, Jermaine O'Neal was right underneath the basket. You got to finish strong in that situation. That's the way you send a message and continue the domination that the Pacers have shown throughout.
Remember, though, Jermaine O'Neal not 100% still with the shoulder injury. Tinsley with a beautiful move. Tinsley, 15 points and 5 assists, and a lead back to 8.
Larry Brown says, enough of it, allowing penetration. The crowd surges as one.
Rasheed Wallace, tough shot. Wallace has been quiet. That's his 4th field goal. It's back to a 6-point game.
Where's the offense going to come from? This is where Detroit is at their best. The grinded out half court, forcing the other team to play one-on-one.
Tinsley again beats Billups off the dribble. Chauncey Billups is one of the better defensive guards in the league. And just to show you how tough Tinsley is, he has been able to get into the paint.
Chauncey Billups was voted by the coaches a strong second-place finish on the all-defensive team throughout the NBA.
That's his 3rd foul.
And Jamal Tinsley is just toying with it.
For official 2005 playoffs merchandise, log on to NBAstore.com. You can get great Pacers and Pistons playoff gear at NBAstore.com. Tinsley 1 of 2. The lead is 7. And a timeout call by the Pistons. 4:44 remaining in this 4th quarter. The Indiana Pacers have led by as many as 18. Had a 17-point lead in the 3rd. But Chauncey Billups and the defending champs on the comeback trail. It's a 7-point game as we head down the stretch.
Some all-star years as a member of the Dallas Mavericks before moving on as a free agent to Phoenix and becoming the MVP. Goes against his former teammates coming up when we're done in the East. Mike.
John, the defending champs, trying to claw their way back into it. The closest they've been in the second half is 6. Right now down by 7. And you see the Pistons, the previous 6 quarters, they'd really struggled. But they've come alive offensively here in the 4th. Will it be too little too late? There's still plenty of time, Bill.
But it's almost been a Rip Van Winkle waking up from hibernation and the slumber that they've been in, realizing that if they don't get this game, that Sunday almost becomes a must-win game for them. And you're the world champions. You don't want to be in a must-win game on the road.
Prince. He's been quiet offensively. Nice feed of Rasheed Wallace. And it's a 5-point game.
Why is Steve Jackson pressuring Tayshaun Prince on the perimeter and allowing him to drive?
Because Tayshaun Prince can hit threes.
How many has he made tonight? 1.
And Miller fouled by Hamilton. And the Pistons in the penalty. So one of the all-time free throw shooters in the history of the NBA will shoot 2. And that's 5 fouls on Rip Hamilton.
And the crowd, which became a little tentative during that mini surge by Detroit, is now in their comfort zone with Reggie back at the line.
5 times in his career, Miller has led the league in free throw shooting. 4 times he shot over 93%. He was #1 in the NBA this year at age 39. He shot 93% from the line. The only person who's led the NBA more times in free throw shooting was Bill Sharman, 7 times. But he misses a key one there.
Seems like you were out at the rotunda during halftime looking at all those banners about Reggie.
6-point game as we come up on 4 minutes remaining. Hamilton. Oh, pretty move from Rip Hamilton, who's having a pretty big second half after a dismal first half. And it's a 4-point game.
It's like somebody sprinkled magic dust over him in the huddle over there the last time. They just are a completely different team right now on both ends of the court.
Well, they're taking it to the basket, not settling for jumpers. Miller. And that three-pointer won't go. Anxious moments now for this capacity crowd.
Now, this is where the Pacers are at their worst in trying to generate good shots out of a set offense against a dug-in defense.
Prince. Shot clock down to 8. Wallace gave up his dribble. Jackson falls down. And just a bit of a bump. And both teams in the penalty, so Prince is going to go to the free throw line as Steven Jackson picks up his 3rd.
Jackson lost his balance on the post-entry pass to Rasheed Wallace, and when it came back out, Steve Jackson had already figured that his job was done. So he just trying to move that lead leg, and he totally loses his balance and falls over and is flailing his body in Tayshaun Prince's path.
It was a 13-point lead heading into this 4th quarter.
And that's why the Pacer fans want the team to push the ball. I mean, They've now got 71 points. Indiana does.
This is the closest it's been since the opening minutes. Pacers led by as many as 18. Had a 17-point second half lead. And it's been sliced to 2. O'Neal. Offensive foul on O'Neal. Rasheed Wallace drawing the charge.
No creativity whatsoever for Indiana. But Carlisle has to get back to the team game, the movement, just lowering that shoulder. The head is a battering ram. Easy play to call. And
it's 5 fouls on Jermaine O'Neal.
what happened to all the elements of the Pacer attack that made them such a delightful team early on?
Pistons have outscored the Pacers 24-13 here in the fourth quarter. Phillips knocked away. Still Pistons ball with 6 on the shot clock.
And you got them down along that baseline. Keep them there. The baseline, the shot clock, they're extra teammates for you right now.
Rasheed Wallace trying to get free. Phillips, shot clock winding down. Phillips kicks it out. Ben Wallace with the jumper. Won't go. Tinsley is shaken up as Prince picks it up. Tinsley got hit in the face and a foul on Jermaine O'Neal, and he's fouled out. Jermaine O'Neal is fouled out with 2.5 to play as Tinsley shaken up on Chauncey Billups' last shot attempt. Billups with some nice sportsmanship goes over and says, "You okay?" And Rasheed Wallace with a chance to tie the game.
Detroit runs that beautiful inbounds pass that swings it on the bounce pass and the elbow right into the face of Jamal Tinsley. That's why you have to pass through the man to keep those guys from coming in, and Jermaine O'Neal can only watch the rest of this game from the bench.
Just 2 of 11 from the field for Jermaine O'Neal. Rasheed Wallace to the line for the first time tonight.
But now they have the lineup that the fans fell in love with during the great stretch that the home team Pacers had when Jermaine O'Neal went out with the bad shoulder.
Rasheed Wallace, never a great free throw shooter, 71% for his career, just under 70% this regular season. And it's a 1-point game with 2.5 to play.
Rasheed is the type of performer who could do anything that he puts his mind to.
Trying to get Miller. Tinsley spinning inside, blocked from behind by Ben Wallace, the defensive player of the year with a huge play. And Tinsley with a foul down the other end. Oh, why did he do that? He'll put Phillips on the line for 2.
When was the last time that the Pacers made a good play? I mean, they're getting torched, punished, elbowed in the face on one end of the court. The other end of the court, they're getting smothered by the entire team.
Now, that's just a great play from Wallace, but Billups here, and Tinsley just grabs him. And it's not like he was having a wide open shot or layup. And again, because they're in the penalty, Billups, one of the best free throw shooters in the NBA this season, will go for 2.
The ability to finish games, finish plays. This is where Reggie Miller, now at the end of his great career, has to find one more gasp of strength.
Billups this year 5th in the NBA in free throw shooting. In HD coming up next, it's the Suns and the Mavericks, game 3 from Dallas. That series tied at 1 game apiece.
Has Nowitzki called out Eric Dampier for this game as well?
And Billups gives the Pistons their first lead since the opening minutes. What a turnaround for the defending champions. Reggie Miller trying to draw a foul. Miller for 3. Won't go. And Rasheed Wallace with a rebound.
The length of Tayshaun Prince finally making an imprint on this game defensively.
The Indiana Pacers have dominated this game for the first 3 quarters, but it's been all Pistons here in the 4th. Wallace for 3. Air ball again. And Tinsley the rebound. I don't know why Wallace is smiling as he's running down the floor.
He might want to think again about taking that shot in this game.
He's a good 3-point shooter, but he's not even been close tonight. And a foul away from the ball. Miller draws the foul. once again. This time it's on Rasheed Wallace.
And that's exactly what Indiana needs. People that keep moving. Reggie over to the talcum powder.
No, they call it on Hamilton, not Rasheed Wallace, and Hamilton is fouled out.
Holding his jersey, that's an easy play to call.
So Hamilton fouls out of the game.
Why would you ever do that?
Especially with 5 fouls.
But they're going to call holding the jersey. Rip Hamilton is too smart a player, a world champion at the NBA level, an NCAA champion, and then make a mental error like that with the game on the line, maybe the series on the line.
That free throw, the first points for the Pacers in 3 minutes. Miller 8 of 9 from the free throw line. 1:21 remaining, and the game is tied. Clutch free throws from one of the NBA's all-time clutch shooters.
Well, with this series looking like it's going to extend a long way, the Miami Heat looking very solid right now.
Phillips, block! Dale Davis with the rejection. Rasheed Wallace can't hit another three, and Miller comes up with it, and he's fouled by Hunter.
The block shot. Tinsley's been unable to keep Chauncey Billups out of the lane late in the game. The monster rejection, and then Reggie in there trying to dig it out.
So Miller back to the free throw line. Trying to extend his legendary career. And puts the Pacers up 2.
Shot clock favors the Pistons right now. But they're down 3, or will be when Reggie makes this free throw.
Reggie Miller, 4 straight clutch free throws. And the Pacers have regained the lead. The future Hall of Famer in his final season in the NBA, 39 years old, doing it again in front of the Indiana crowd. Reggie Miller and the Indiana Pacers trying to hold on here in Game 3 of this Eastern Conference semifinals. Of course, coming up next, Game 3 of the Western Conference semis. From Dallas, it's the Mavericks and the Suns. Chauncey Billups and the Pistons have made a dramatic turnaround here in the 4th quarter, but Rip Hamilton is out with 6 fouls, and will it be enough?
And the breakdown mentally of the Pistons has been their own worst enemy, because Indiana, they have trouble scoring points in the end of the game in this situation. No real go-to franchise-level player. The 2 fouls against Reggie Miller just gave them 3 points.
They're looking for Rasheed Wallace. Poked away by Foster.
Yep. Rasheed never had the ball. Not quite sure why they're running plays for Rasheed in that left corner. The guy's been awful from there all night long. Made 1 basket.
Foster looks like he's talking to him. Tayshaun Prince. Wallace wants to post up Jackson, but instead goes out. Prince off the dribble. Throws it away.
Jeff Foster again. He's changed everything in this series. Got to help out Steve Jackson, who's not a good inbounder.
They do not need to foul yet, that's for sure.
Give the ball to Reggie Miller.
And they foul. I don't understand that, Bill. Now, Foster's not...
You let that much time go off and then foul?
Foster will go to the free throw line for the first time tonight. Foster, for his career, is only a 61% free throw shooter, so maybe it's not such a bad idea.
He should have just driven the ball right towards Reggie Miller for a little handoff.
Free throws from the Pacers here in the 4th.
There is not a single person in this building who's sitting down, except for Joe Dumars.
They're 11 for 13 from the free throw line here in the 4th. Jeff Foster makes it a 5-point game. Timeout, Pistons. 5.2 seconds remaining. Pacers, after losing the lead, have now scored 6 in a row, all from the free throw line. Miller hit 4, Foster with 2 clutch free throws, and now the Pistons, they need to score in a hurry.
In these circumstances, this is where the defense gets very cautious. So just blast to the hoop right now for the Pistons and get everything going to the basket immediately.
Right now, let's go back to New York and check in with John Saunders.
Along with Tim Legler and Greg Anthony, we want to let you know that the Suns and the Mavericks, game number 3, that series tied at a game apiece, is underway. We'll get you there when it's done.
I'll tell you what, it's fortunate right now that Indiana has regained control of this game momentarily, because it would be so demoralizing if they ended up losing this game after dominating it for 3.5 quarters. I don't think they could recover from that.
Well, it would be tough, but you know what? This team has been so resilient all season long when dealing with adversity. It wouldn't have surprised me to see them losing and come back and win game 4. However, the fact now that they have an opportunity to win this game bodes well for this series. I still think it's going 7.
All right, you saw Dirk Nowitzki knock down the little runner, and then Steve Nash with the jump shot as well. We're going to take you back out now for the final seconds as the Pacers look to take a 2-1 lead over Detroit.
All right, John, I understand what Tim Legler was saying, but if any team shows they can recover from losses, it's the Indiana Pacers. They lead by 5. They blew a 14-point fourth-quarter lead. Detroit went up by 1. But now Indiana has regained the lead. Wallace, a quick shot. Well, big shot from Wallace. It's a 3-point game. With 31.6 remaining.
If you're Indiana, don't hold the ball unless you're Reggie Miller.
A quick basket, and that's exactly what Detroit needed.
They run the ball, and Rashid has his head down. He's spinning around in a pirouette. Fortunately, his athleticism is so high that he was able to convert that jumper.
All right, Bill, if you're Detroit, you're down by 3. There's 7.6 seconds differential between game clock and shot clock. Do you foul right away, or you try and get the ball back? We'll have the answer when we come back. Right now, it's still a 1-possession game.
If you're the better team, you want more possessions.
Again, Detroit with still 1 timeout remaining. It's a 20-second timeout.
They're not going to foul. They're going to play it out.
Try and get a stop, get a rebound, and call their final timeout. Tinsley against Billups.
Somebody better box out Jeff Foster then if they're thinking about getting that ball back.
Miller trying to get free. Lindsey Hunter on Miller. Shot clock down to 6. Miller puts it in. Reggie Miller with 10.7 remaining. It's a 5-point lead.
That's why Rip Hamilton should never foul out of a game by grabbing somebody's jersey, because now Lindsey Hunter has to come in. Reggie Miller does a nice job of swinging that ball through and creating the space.
The Pistons wanted, I believe, a charge. Hunter played him very, very well. He was right up. He was all over him. Watch Hunter on this play. He's all over him.
But Reggie is dribbling away from the basket here.
There's a
push
little
off
bit of
right
a
there.
right push, yep.
But that's what all great offensive players do, and you do that as the guy's leaning in.
Reggie Miller coming up huge once again for the Indiana Pacers. Miller with 8 of his 17 points here in the fourth quarter. Now the Pistons are completely out of timeouts.
But just play good, hard, contained defense. If you're Indiana, the game is yours, and it is.
They are starting to celebrate. 18th turnover for Detroit. And Rick Carlisle wants to make sure his team doesn't do anything ridiculous here in the final 7.2 seconds. As the Indiana Pacers on the verge of winning the 2nd straight game against the defending champs and taking a 2-1 lead in this best-of-7 series.
And the critical guy here for the Pacers is who's going to inbound the ball. They've been having Steve Jackson doing it. An isolation on Reggie Miller on the decisive play here. They're grabbing him, they're holding him. Lindsey Hunter steps up, and then Reggie goes right by him, a little bump, a little shoulder. You could call it either way, or you could just let it go, which is what the referees did.
The Pacers, a team that has been through so many different ups and downs this season, a team that instead of coming apart have come together. We said at the top, it's a team that won't go away. How many times during the regular season you thought, they won't even make the playoffs? And then in the series against the Boston Celtics, it looked like they wouldn't even advance to the second round, especially when they lost Game 6 at home. But then they won Game 7, got pounded in Game 1 against Detroit. However, came back with that huge victory in Game 2, and now with a chance to take the lead in the series.
This is such a wonderful and compelling story about people never whining and complaining about what's happened in the past. These guys have never looked back. They've just kept attacking, and now Reggie Miller has got them in control along with Jeff Foster.
They never talked about who they didn't have. All they were concerned with was who they did have, regardless of all the injuries and the suspensions. And now with a chance to put the Pistons in a hole.
Tinsley's the inbounder. They bring in Austin Crozier. They're not even going to foul. They've just given up, the Pistons have.
And a held ball with 1.2 remaining. Crozier looking at Joe Forte.
How about the tough position they put Austin Crozier in? The guy sits over there the entire game, and then they say, hey, go in there and ice it for us.
Reggie Miller iced this game with the clutch free throws and that big bucket. And the Indiana Pacers lead it 2-1. Once again, so many contributions from so many different Pacers. It's why they are here, but Reggie Miller's still making the big plays.
At the end of the day, go to your Hall of Famer. Reggie Miller looks at the defender, realizes it's not Rip Hamilton. He's got size and strength advantage, goes right at him. All Reggie Miller.
Game 4 coming up Sunday.